Hey folks, welcome back to Failure at Retirement. So today is day one of the greenhouse build. I've shown you a couple shorts of the foundation and the floor. So I might have mentioned this greenhouse, the size of it is really very much centered around use of materials. So what I did, you can't see the whole thing, but on the trailer here, I went down and bought a unit of 2x6 Doug fir, 8 foot long. And so that's part of the use of materials deal. I've got to cut almost every one of these 2x6s has to be cut to be a stud or a rafter. Now I could have bought studs instead of 8 foot, but I still would have had to cut them. So 8 foot I think is also going to work better for the rafter, and they're more or less the same price. So I got a whole unit of 128 of them, because I'm going to need, I believe, right around 100. And so we'll see. I may just return the rest. Not really sure how that's going to work out, but it was easiest to get the whole unit, have it forklifted on the trailer. All right, so over here, those are short blocks that I cut off. These over here are the studs. I've cut a few of them so far. I've got almost enough there for one wall. So I'm going to put this camera on time lapse, cut a few more studs so you can kind of get a feel for that. I'm not going to make you watch it all, just cut a couple. And then we'll go on to the next step after this. We're about to have some weather, so I'm probably only going to cut lumber today, and then it'll probably be a few more days before I get back to you with the next step. Won't matter to you. Hang on. Okay, couple things that I probably should have mentioned. First of all, Douglas fir is our go-to construction lumber for this part of the country. All of our homes, basically any construction you want to do, any building, Douglas fir. A lot of it comes from Oregon, a little bit comes from here in California. The other thing I was going to mention, the old saw over here that I'm using, doesn't really matter. That was my dad's saw that I got when he passed away. So I've got another 15 boards or something to cut. I'll do that off camera, and then when I get back to you, we'll be on day two. Okay, folks, so we've moved on to the next step here. One thing I don't think I mentioned is Mrs. Failure and I decided to pre-paint most of this lumber, really for two reasons. Partially, it's a fairly wet location, even though it's inside, and we wanted a coat of paint on it to preserve the lumber better. But then we also wanted a coat of paint on it kind of for the aesthetic, certain look we're kind of going for here. So as you can see, I've already done this side. We're putting the sills down today. It's treated lumber. You can kind of see that on the end. I went ahead and pre-did this one, drilled the holes already for the anchor bolts. I'm working around the weather today, as you can see, but also I wanted to have everything I needed gathered up before I started filming. So the way I'm doing this, you can see this is the southeast corner. I've marked it. Put the rafter square on each side of the bolt to mark where it needs to fall on the lumber. And then next thing I'll do, after they're all marked, I will slide the board out and measure the distance from the concrete to the center of the bolt, and that will determine where to drill the hole. All right, so I will put this camera on time lapse, and I'll get this one knocked out real quick. Let me move the camera. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so simple as that. This one side is all marked out. Pretty easy to do. So because I'm fighting the weather here, I wouldn't ordinarily do this, but because it's supposed to rain more today and I'm just kind of trying to get a head start on when it stops raining. So I'm going to move this back inside and drill the holes in it and start laying out the studs, and I'll show that to you next. Okay, as you can see, that didn't take long. Part of it I want to mention, I'm using a corded drill. Honestly, like, this is the first time I've used the corded drill in, I don't know, close to 10 years probably. But look at this bit. So this bit, turn this around, it's called a speed bore. I think it says max speed there. I think this bit is made by Ideal, if I remember right, like Ideal, like electrical tools. Pretty sure I got this from the company I was working for when I was selling electrical gear. There was a point in time where we had a management change and some not smart decisions were made, and they clearanced out a whole bunch of tools at literally like 2-3 cents on the dollar. And so I bought this little set of bits, as I said, years ago. I probably had them 15 years, and maybe not quite that. I've only used them a couple times. These things will hog a hole in some wood like you absolutely would not believe, as you just saw. Only takes seconds. And this 3/8 corded barely has enough power to spin it. A guy should probably have a 1/2 inch on it. That's how much power and how fast it bores the wood. That's why I'm going corded, not cordless. Alrighty, so now I gotta clean this up just a little bit, and I'll start laying out the studs. I need to do the end walls as well. I'll get some of this on time lapse and some of it not. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so I've gone down here, I've marked all the studs. I typically don't mark both sides. Some people I think do. This one I did. Kind of not much of a reason for it really, except it's the one that's not 16-inch on center. So the rest of the studs, where the X is 16-inch. Where the line is where the edge of the stud needs to go. So the whole thing is marked. And so you may be asking yourself, why 16-inch? Why 2x6? And admittedly, this might be kind of overbuilt. This is Failure's first greenhouse. And one of the things, I was going to go 24-inch. And even up till like yesterday, I was still debating that question, but kind of too late now because the way the J-bolts are already in the concrete. Guy got to thinking that there's going to be basically potting benches on these walls. So 20-foot long wall with a potting bench on it, there could potentially be a lot of weight on that. And so that's why I decided to go 16-inch on center, is to support all that weight. Yes, the benches will probably have kickers. They're not going to have a post to the floor. They're probably going to have kickers down to the foundation or the bottom of the wall. But this is why we're going 16-inch on center. I hope it doesn't throw too much shade. I think that is the only potential problem that I can envision. So also, I didn't mention, I made sure before I marked those out that the ends were even. clamped them together so that both sides match. And because I'm doing this the day before and I'm doing both walls at the same time, it's going to be very important that I keep each set together as a pair and don't mix them up. So now I need to take these apart again and go out and confirm that all my holes line up with the anchor bolts and it fits down, sits on there on the concrete like the other one already is. So that's why it's important to mark each end as to where it goes. So I'm going to go out there now, put this down, make sure it fits, make sure I don't have to hog a hole out a little bit bigger or something weird like that. And then I'll probably, since it's out there, probably going to go ahead and drop the end anchors in so I can measure the end walls and at least get them cut. So we'll be doing that next. Okay, so I got these sides anchored down in the corners so I could measure the end walls so I know how long those are. I've got it all set up. I'm about to cut the boards, but I'm not sure you need to see that. I'm not sure that you need to see me lay out these end walls. So I think for the time being, I'm going to stop the video, do some work off camera. We'll see how long this video is after I edit it. I might stop this video here, or I might go a little further depending on the length. So we'll just see how that goes. So off camera work for a little bit. I can feel the rain. The moisture's heavy enough in the air. I can feel it on my face. We are supposed to get another brief shower here in the next hour or so, so I got to get this back inside. I thought I would go ahead and show you what we're doing to paint this. These are nearly done. The second coat is about half done on these. This will be just about everything we need to complete the walls. There's going to be a little bit of blocking and some other stuff that still needs to be painted. We had these other ones filled up, so roughly half of the walls are 2 coats painted and put away inside for the weekend. So we just have to come back here and finish up the second coat on these, and then we'll have to paint rafters and stuff like that coming up next. So I went ahead and checked it over, and this video is long enough, so I'm going to stop here. The next video you'll see me building walls and standing them up, and we'll see how far we get. That's enough for this time. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a good day. We'll see you next time on Failure at Retirement.